Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the scandalous and thrilling world of Fairmont Crest. Today is a beautiful day to unravel some incredibly dark secrets, and trust me, you are going to want to sit down for this one. If you ask me, there is nothing quite as pathetic as a powerful man who has been stripped of his autonomy, yet still believes he is the one pulling the strings. We see this all the time in the real world. A CEO, a titan of industry, or a patriarch gets knocked down by a health crisis, and suddenly their massive empire shrinks to the size of a sterile white hospital room. They cannot control their schedules, they cannot control their diets, and they certainly cannot control the relentless beeping of the medical monitors. This is exactly where we find Bill right now. He is utterly trapped. Every single day is the same agonizing routine. He lies on that uncomfortable hospital bed, waiting for the nurses to come in, check his vitals, adjust his IVs, and force him to swallow a handful of pills prescribed by his doctors. He is a man who is used to giving orders, but right now his only job is to survive. Bill is complaining bitterly about this confinement. He desperately wants to go home. He wants to return to his life, his comfort, and his illusion of control. But since he cannot have that, he is willing to settle for the next best thing: the intoxicating, dangerous comfort of Hayley. He is perfectly content to lie there, cuddling and embracing her right on his hospital bed. To the untrained eye, it looks like a picture of devotion, a loving wife comforting her ailing husband. But if you have been paying attention to the undercurrents of this story, you know that this is not comfort. This is a spider wrapping her prey in a very soft, very deadly web. Have you ever noticed how manipulators use physical touch to bypass logical reasoning? It is a fascinating psychological tactic. When someone is physically weak, a gentle stroke of the hair or a warm embrace releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which literally clouds the brain's ability to perceive threats. Hayley is playing this biological keyboard like a maestro. She is keeping Bill docile, keeping him focused entirely on her, and ensuring that he does not start asking the hard questions about why his heart gave out in the first place. However, this cozy little illusion is abruptly shattered. Shanice walks into the room, and she is not having any of it. Nurses, if you ask me, are the unsung bouncers of the medical world. You can be a millionaire outside those double doors, but once you are in that gown, you are a liability and they are the law. Shanice immediately interrupts the intimate moment. She does not mince words. Hospital beds are for patients only, the nurse warns, her voice slicing through the heavy romantic tension in the room. She demands that Hayley step down from the bed immediately. She looks Hayley dead in the eye and delivers a rule that leaves no room for misinterpretation. When you are visiting, both of your feet must remain on the floor at all times. It is a brilliant moment of boundary setting. Shanice is a professional. She knows the rules, she knows the risks of infection, and she knows that a man recovering from a massive cardiac event and a newly implanted pacemaker does not need a second body crowding his recovery space. But more importantly, Shanice is establishing dominance in a room where Hayley thinks she is the queen. Of course, the moment Shanice turns her back and leaves the room, the rules go right out the window. This is the sheer unadulterated audacity of Hayley. She does not just climb back onto the bed. She escalates the situation to a level that is both shocking and incredibly reckless. Hayley immediately goes back to cuddling Bill, but then she takes it a step further. She ducks her head down, pulls the heavy hospital blankets up to cover the lower half of Bill's body, and begins to perform highly stimulating sexual acts on him right there in the middle of the cardiac ward. Let us pause and really analyze the sheer insanity of this moment. Why is she doing this? Is it just a desperate need for intimacy? Absolutely not. Think about the facts we already know. Hayley has been slowly poisoning this man. She spiked his serum. She caused the hand tremors, the double vision, and ultimately the catastrophic collapse that led to his heart attacks and the pacemaker. She needs him dead to collect that $10 million life insurance policy. So, what happens when you take a man with a critically weakened, recovering heart and subject him to intense, sudden sexual stimulation? His heart rate spikes, his blood pressure surges. The pacemaker is forced to work overtime. She is not making love to him. She is trying to trigger a fatal cardiac event under the guise of passion. It is the perfect, untraceable murder weapon, and her deadly little trick almost works. Within moments, the absolute chaos erupts. The medical monitors attached to Bill begin to scream. The alarms blare through the quiet hospital corridor, a frantic, high-pitched warning that his heart is under severe distress. The flashing lights and the relentless beep, beep, beep signal a code-level emergency. Ashley comes rushing into the room, expecting to find a man going into cardiac arrest. Instead, she walks into a scene of profound embarrassment. Ashley has to actively intervene and break up a situation that would make a teenager blush. The secondhand embarrassment is suffocating. Bill's face is completely flushed, a deep, guilty red, his breathing ragged and heavy. And where is Hayley? She has not even emerged from under the blankets at the foot of the bed yet. The sheer indignity of it all is staggering. Ashley is furious. She is a nurse who has dealt with grief, loss, and the intense pressure of saving lives, and she refuses to let her ward be treated like a cheap motel room. Bill, humiliated and suddenly defensive, lashes out. He is sick and tired of being lectured by strict, dogmatic nurses who treat him like a disobedient child. His ego cannot handle the embarrassment of being caught, so he tries to reclaim his power the only way he knows how, by throwing a tantrum. He loudly declares that he is discharging himself and going home. This sparks a massive, explosive confrontation between Ashley and Hayley. The air in the room turns toxic. Hayley, with her messy hair and defiant glare, challenges Ashley's authority. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a scalpel. Ashley realizes that reasoning with this woman is impossible. She is a danger to the patient and a disruption to the entire hospital. So Ashley does exactly what a fierce advocate for patient safety should do. She calls hospital security. Imagine the visual. Uniformed security guards marching into the sterile room, grabbing Hayley by the arms and physically escorting her out of the building. It is a massive blow to her carefully crafted image of the doting, worried wife. But Hayley never leaves quietly. As she is being dragged toward the door, she turns back, her eyes locking onto Bill, and delivers a line that sends absolute shivers down my spine. She boldly declares that she will be by his side until his last breath. If you ask me, that is not a promise of love. That is a threat. That is a predator telling her prey that there is no escape. She is literally telling him that she will be the one to watch him die. The double meaning is so heavy, it hangs in the air long after she is dragged out of the corridor. Bill, still furious and riding the adrenaline of the confrontation, turns his anger onto Ashley. He demands that she process his discharge papers immediately. He wants out. He wants to go back to his mansion or whatever temporary luxury accommodation he has, and he wants to be back in his own domain. But Ashley stands her ground. She looks at his flushed face, his erratic heart monitors, and flatly refuses. His current medical condition is far too unstable. He is not leaving that bed, not under her watch. But Ashley is smart. She knows that keeping Bill in the hospital is only half the battle. She cannot protect him from Hayley forever, and she knows that the family needs to be aware of the insane level of manipulation happening behind closed doors. So Ashley picks up the phone and makes a crucial call. She dials Naomi and Kat. She recounts every single humiliating, dangerous detail of what just happened. She tells them about the alarms, the sexual acts under the covers, the screaming match, and the security escort. Have you ever had to stage an intervention for someone who is completely blind to their own destruction? It is exhausting. You gather the evidence, you prepare your arguments, but you are fighting against a wall of pure denial. Naomi and Kat have been doing exactly this. They have been launching a secret investigation, digging into Hayley's past, her suspected affair, and the timeline of Bill's sudden physical decline. Hearing Ashley's report is the spark that ignites the powder keg. They are absolutely furious. The reckless disregard for Bill's fragile health is sickening. Naomi does not waste a single second. She marches straight down to the hospital, her heels clicking aggressively against the linoleum floor, and storms into Bill's room. The confrontation that follows is nothing short of explosive. Naomi stands over his bed, looking down at a man who has traded his dignity for a toxic illusion. She unleashes a torrent of well-deserved anger. She scolds him fiercely, pointing out how utterly he has disregarded his own health. She tells him that his blind obsession with Hayley is disgusting, and worse, it is leading him directly to an early grave. She reminds him that his entire family, his daughters, his relatives have been agonizing over his survival, and yet he is throwing their care back in their faces just to satisfy his twisted dynamic with a woman who is actively harming him. But Naomi does not just bring anger, she brings the hammer down. She leans in close, her voice dropping to a serious, dangerous whisper, and drops a massive bombshell. She reveals to Bill that she and Kat have finally found concrete evidence. They have found the missing link that connects Hayley directly to the mysterious, terrifying cause of his sudden collapse and his presence in this very hospital bed. The room goes dead silent. The only sound is the rhythmic, mechanical pumping of the machines keeping Bill alive. Naomi looks him in the eye and issues a final, non-negotiable warning. She tells him to stay the hell away from Hayley. She demands that he keep his distance until he is medically cleared to leave the hospital and his health has stabilized enough for him to see the truth clearly. This leaves us with so many burning questions. What exactly is the evidence that Naomi and Kat found? Is it the spiked serum? Is it a paper trail from the life insurance policy? And more importantly, will Bill actually listen? When a man is that deep in denial, when he has allowed a woman to literally crawl under his skin and his hospital blankets, can he be saved, or is he already a dead man walking? If you ask me, Bill is standing on the edge of a very steep cliff, and he thinks Hayley is holding his hand to keep him safe, completely unaware that she is the one pushing him over. We are watching a slow motion car crash, and the impact is going to destroy everyone involved. Will Ashley's strict rules be enough to keep the predator out of the ward? Will Naomi's evidence be enough to break the spell? Or will Hayley make good on her chilling promise to be there until his very last breath? Stick around, guys, because this medical nightmare is just getting started and the cure might be deadlier than the disease.